AC44 Conveyor Dishmachine, a service inspection, a look at the inside components. To start your service inspection, we first remove the lower wash arm. To remove the lower wash arm is by unlocking it by pulling the locking latch back towards you. To remove the wash arm, pull forward and release from the manifold, slide it back to release the T-handle, and pull the wash arm out. Next, to remove the upper wash arm, push the locking mechanism forward. Pull the wash arm toward you, allow it to release off the manifold, slide it back, and you can remove the wash arm. Next, we remove the wash pump filter. This filters out food, soil, and debris that's being washed off the dishes before entering the wash pump motor. Next, we remove the wash tank screens. There are two screens, a small wash tank screen and a large wash tank screen. Be sure that they're clean top and bottom. Next, we remove the wash pump filter support. This supports your wash pump filter from tilting over. Next is the wash manifold cover. This primarily supports the small screen and the large screen. Next, we take a look at the wash sequence bar magnet. Make sure that it is clean and clear, and there's about a 1/16 inch clearance from the bottom. Here we move down into the wash tank. First, we look at the wash tank temperature probe. Make sure that they're clean so that it reads a good temperature. The detergent probe, this is what connects to your dispenser when it needs detergent. The wash heating element, make sure there are no cracks, no lime or scale buildup. The wash pump intake and drain. The wash tank thermostat, this is what adjusts the temperature of your water. And the wash tank float, make sure it's no obstacles impeding it from going up and down. Next, we're going to take a look at the rinse side inspection. First, we'll remove the rinse standpipe. This overflows straight to drain. Make sure that the O-ring's in place and that it's still round so that it seals the hole. Next, we're going to remove the lower pump rinse arm. Lift up the locking lever so that you can slide the wash arm out. The spray nozzles have deflectors so that it creates a wall of water for a rinse. This also has a captive end cap so that you don't lose it, and it's easy to open and clean. Next, we'll remove the upper pump rinse spray arm. Again, same locking mechanism. Lift up the locking lever to slide the spray arm out. Next, we'll remove the rinse tank screens. There are two screens, both of equal size. Again, you won't find as much debris over here if our wash action is working as expected. Make sure they are clean top and bottom. Next, we'll remove the rinse float cover. This protects the rinse float and the pump filter. Next, we'll remove the rinse standpipe support. This slides over the rinse sequence bar and supports your standpipe for the overflow to drain. This is your rinse pump screen. Again, we call it a lollipop, one of the smallest components in the system. Now we'll take a look at the rinse tank components. First, we have our rinse sequence bar magnet. Again, should be 1/16 inch clearance. We have our rinse standpipe drain, and again, this drains straight to sewer. The rinse pump intake. This is where your rinse pump is actually pulling the water from the tank into the pump. The rinse heating element. This is what heats up your rinse tank. The rinse thermostat. This is where the adjustments are made for temperatures to your rinse tank. And the rinse tank float. Again, make sure there is not obstructed and moves freely. The next component is the rinse temperature probe. Again, this tells the temperature of the rinse tank. This is the lower final rinse arm. Again, this is non-removable. We have stainless and nylon jets. As we move up the final rinse, we're looking at the final rinse manifold that connects the lower rinse arm and the upper rinse arm. The final rinse brings in fresh water into the machine. On top of the final rinse is a clean out tee. For preventative maintenance, you can remove the plug and you can use scale clean or descale to pour down inside of it. This can be done at the beginning of your service so that it actually can start working to clean out the spray arms and the jets. And again, it's just basically for preventative maintenance. Make sure that you put the plug back in and you secure it down. Before inspecting the last two sections, let's review how the flow works in the conveyor. The machine fills with water. It fills the rinse and the wash tanks. Once they fill and has reached temperature, we enter a rack into the system, designed that the water flow is one direction and the racks and dishes travel in the opposite direction. It allows the system to refill and regenerate in the wash tank with fresh water and allows to skim the surface of the water to remove food soil, grease, and oil into the scrap trap. Let's take a look at how this works. When the pump rinse motor comes on and starts washing the dishes, your rinse and final rinse comes on. As the rinse tank overflows into the wash tank overflows with the soil, oil, and debris into the scrap trap. And again, this is how we see that this is a counterflow system. So let's go ahead and continue on and take a look at how the overflow works. This is the overflow between the rinse and the wash tank. This is the rinse float cover. This cover should periodically be removed as grease and oil get stuck up underneath it. There is a channel where the rinse actually flows over into the wash tank. The last component we look at is the scrap trap. The scrap trap has a removable tray that should be removed and cleaned. This is where the overflow from the wash tank flows into the scrap trap. Once it overflows, it actually flows straight to sewer or to drain through the scrap trap drain. This completes the inside service inspection of the AC44 conveyor. Learn more about servicing the AC44 Conveyor Dish Machine by talking to your managers, regional manager, vice president, or contact the training center for more information.